Let's now first take a look at what is the situation really like in the northern state of Himachal Pradesh. It's a
Good evening. You're watching The Nation at 5 right here on CNN News 18. My name is Toya Singh. On this show, over the next 1 hour, we will be checking in on the temperature, the mood across the country. We're going to start with perhaps our most important story, the continued effect of rainfall in parts of Himachal Pradesh and Uttarakhand. We're focusing right now on Himachal Pradesh, where all 12 districts have been inundated by rainfall over the last few days. It's led to the death of more than 50 people in the last 48 hours. If you stretch that same timeline back to the end of June, that number increases to more than 280 people. Now, we're going to show you visuals from the ground. We're going to have reporters joining us from the ground to give us a check of how the rescue efforts are carrying on in the entire state. Now, we're going to have reporters join us in just a second. We're also going to show you in just a second visuals from the ground. At the same time, I want to tell you, disaster authorities say all 12 districts are prone to land slippage in Himachal Pradesh. You can see visuals here of entire houses getting washed away. I want to point out to you that if you just take a look at the data from 2020 to 2022, there has been a 6-time increase in the number of landslides that have taken place in the state of Himachal Pradesh. Now, authorities in the area say that this is partly because of the increased incidents of cloudbursts that are taking place across the state because of climate change. The other cause, however, is continued construction that is taking place across the state. More images of destruction that are coming to you from the ground. In a little while, we'll also show you a map to show you where much of this damage is concentrated, because it is largely concentrated in the districts around Shimla. You can see the IAF is conducting rescue operations. The SDRF, the army, they've all sent troops down on the ground that are helping in these efforts. This in particular was a video footage we got from a little while earlier of a citizen being rescued into a helicopter. Now, we'll have reporters join us from the ground. We are also receiving more visuals. This is Rupnagar in particular, as you can see, that has been entirely flooded in these visuals. Now, again, I want to bring you more details, because this, as you can see, is the Indian Army conducting efforts. Now, when you speak to state authorities, the Chief Minister, for example, says that there's been a 157% increase in the amount of rainfall across Himachal Pradesh this year. Typically, Shimla and the region around Shimla are inundated. These are visuals we're bringing you from Mandi. They are inundated every single year by rainfall. We're going to bring you more visuals right now in just a second. My colleague Yash is going to be joining us. Yash is actually on the ground. He's in Krishna Nagar. Yash, thank you for joining us. Yash, you've been here now for more than 24 hours. You've seen various scenes across the state. Paint a picture for our audiences, please, those of us who are tuning in from across the country.
Well, Toya, if I talk about the entire Himachal Pradesh, once you enter Himachal Pradesh via Punjab, the moment you enter, you will be welcomed by some sort of a landslide or something of that sort. So with that only you can imagine that how grim the situation is here on ground. Talking about Shimla in particular, because we've been reporting continuously from Shimla, there are 3 hotspots of this very mishap which has taken place here in the city. First is from where I'm coming to you right now. This is the Krishna Nagar area. First, I'll give you an update from this very spot. First of all, the rescue teams have left this space now, and in fact what is left over here is just the debris of the homes which collapsed from the upper side of this very area. And the reason what we are given to understand is that why they have left this area, because now it is confirmed that there were only 2 people who were there, who were stuck inside this very building, and in fact both of them have been confirmed dead by the police officials over here. So right now there are other places where these rescue teams have to be, and in fact that is the reason why these teams were mobilized to different locations. And in fact talking about the prone areas, the number is very high, around 800, over 800 places in Shimla only have been designated as the danger zone. So you can imagine walking just on the road and you don't know if that area falls under the danger zone or not. In fact, I'll show you the visuals of destruction as well over here. Toya, you can just imagine what had happened, what had transpired on those couple of minutes when that very landslide happened on the upper area of this very hill. You can see number of cars completely destroyed over here. I can tell you that I can see from here that at least 3 cars in this debris, and in fact 2 cars stuck inside that very debris. You can see over there a car, you can see from this very side. Not only that, the loss to life has been reported, loss to animal life has been also reported, because there was a famous slaughterhouse which was present over here, and in fact around 70 animals were killed in this entire situation. 2 lives were lost. So the scene, the scenario which is playing out right now in Himachal Pradesh is very ugly. I can say that every time I talk about the situation in Himachal Pradesh and Shimla, I say that there is a silver lining right now, that there are no heavy rains as of now in this district of Shimla, but the IMD officials have maintained that that could change any moment, because it is very hard to predict the monsoon here, because what had happened over here is due to the western disturbances, these rains happened, and in fact because of those very disturbances, cloud formations took place, because the topology of Himachal Pradesh and particularly in Shimla is such, because you have different steps on the hills, and in fact there are levels. These Shimla actually lies on the Shivalik range, and if we understand the type of weather Shivalik range has, it is very unprecedented. You cannot imagine what could happen very next moment. But Toya, one very interesting thing also to witness is that this is the very first time Shimla is witnessing something like this, because we spoke to number of people, number of residents over here who've been living in Shimla for the last 50 years, 30 years, 40 years. They all say that this is something which is beyond their imagination, because almost 40 people dying in a single day is not a small deal. And in fact when they died, in fact when that entire incident played out, that was just for the couple of minutes, and rest is in front of us. This is what is left behind after that very cloudburst or landslide which take place here in Shimla. We talked about this very place, and if we talk about the one of the worst affected areas, that still remains to be the Shiv Mandir area near Summer Hill. That is the place where rescue operation is still on. Army is continuously working there. In the morning and in the afternoon when we went there, we saw that JCBs were also brought in. The kind of terrain that place has, it also becomes very tough for the officials to take heavy machinery up there, so they have to do all the work manually. So that is why the rescue operation is taking so much of time. And the third area which was affected, that was the first area which actually reported something like that, and in fact there 5 lives were lost. Back to you.
Okay, Yash, can I actually ask you to stay with us? Let me very quickly take our audiences over to a map. We'll explain to our audiences on the map each of these districts that you've just spoken about, then we'll come back to you in just a second. All right, much of our focus as we're speaking right now is in Shimla. The temple that we're talking about, there was a temple that washed away. Currently, rescue efforts are carrying on in, as my colleague Yash just said, Summer Hills, which is in Shimla. It's an upscale locality in Shimla. Rescue efforts are carrying on around there. But in the last few days, both Solan and Mandi, Solan in particular is where the cloudburst took place that triggered all of this. The cloudburst took place on between Sunday and Monday, we're learning. That cloudburst led, as we're telling our audiences, to landslides across this part in particular. Though, as you can see, right up till here, right to the northern parts were affected. Mandi too saw 7 people getting swept away. As we speak, much of the rescue efforts are focused here. And it's important to point out that Shimla and Solan are both regions where, if you look at the data from the last few years, these are the same regions that continue to be inundated by some of the heaviest rainfall that Himachal Pradesh sees every single year. Now let's go back to my colleague Yash, who remains with us on the ground. He's with us, as we were telling you earlier, from Shimla. All right, Yash, one of the things you were telling us about a little while earlier is the government and how they've faced this. One of the statements that's come forward is that the government's already faced, I think, 6,800 crores worth of destruction. It's perhaps too early to ask about the reconstruction efforts, Yash. I just want to ask you, next 4 days, we know the IMD is continuing to predict cloudbursts across the state. What is the plan? Tell us.
Well, Toya, that is very hard to tell because the authorities will move in a direction once this all stops. But this keeps on happening in different parts of the state. First in Shimla, then in Mandi. In fact, Kulu is also affected. Other regions are also affected. So it is very hard for the authorities as well to assess and in fact to continue with the work with the restoration works. Because in case if they restore a particular area and then once again something like this happens, then it would be very tough for the authorities to actually compensate that thing from the state's treasure also. And like you rightly mentioned, around 6,800 crore, that's a big amount for Himachal Pradesh. And in fact, that loss is particularly to different departments. If you look at department if you look at the HRD department, because there are schools which have been destroyed. If you look at different departments, so each department has reported some sort of loss in this entire case. But still, this assessment is not over yet. The report we are talking about over here date back to 14th of August, and from 14th of August till now, no new report has been published by the state machinery. So probably we are expecting that report will come out soon, and in fact then also we'll get an updated number on the deaths in the state, the people rescued, and also the amount which has been incurred as loss to the state and to the exchequer in this entire case. So yeah, one thing also which is very important in this entire case is that Himachal Pradesh in itself bears the brunt of rain every year, but this time it is different because in the last 40 years what had happened in Himachal, what had happened in Uttarakhand, we have witnessed what had happened in Uttarakhand, and in fact both the states are different. The nature of hill is very different, but something like this playing out in Himachal Pradesh is also very unprecedented for the environmentalists and in fact the people who understand urbanization and people who actually talk about forestation in this very area. And now it also raises much eyebrows about the deforestation in this very area, because we know that Shimla is one such a tourist destination which is very popular amongst Indians and also amongst the foreigners. And if around, because if you go by the data in I think 2019 or 2022, in 2019 around 1.5 crore people visited this very place. And in fact, so if so many people are visiting the state, you have to imagine, you have to keep in mind that this place has the capacity to hold that crowd, and this is what is playing out right now. The unplanned development, the unplanned urbanization of the area. Back to you.
69 national highways were approved in the last 10 years when it comes to Himachal Pradesh. My colleague Yash joining us from the ground. Yash, do stay safe. We're going to now show you Yash's ground report from the region he's in right now. This is Krishna Nagar. It's in Shimla. Take a look.
Landslide which was reported from Shimla's Krishna Nagar area has claimed 2 lives. This information has been given to us by the officers on ground who are working continuously to carry out rescue operations. And I'm coming to you in fact from that very site where those houses collapsed yesterday around 4 to 5 p.m. in the evening. All you can see around this very space is just destruction, debris, and in fact the broken homes which actually collapsed during that very landslide. This is the debris of around 5 to 6 homes which actually collapsed on the evening of yesterday, when in fact those places were actually emptied by the authorities, because earlier only they were fearing that there could be something like this, and that is the reason why this entire area was emptied by the authorities. Looking at the debris over here, looking at the kind of destruction which has been done due to this landslide is very humongous. You can see these entire homes of concrete. These are not, mind you, these are not wooden homes, or these are not makeshift shelters or homes. These are proper concrete homes which were washed away by, which was actually which were collapsed because of the landslide. You can see how the debris of those very homes has gone from that very top side to this very end, and you can see how cars have also been destroyed in this very case. You can see only here a car has fallen down off this very cliff, and in fact this is the story from Krishna Nagar right now. In fact, a lot of lives being affected, and in fact the NDRF officials have confirmed to CNN News 18 that 2 lives have been lost in this case. ये हुआ, आप यहाँ कहीं आसपास थे या कहाँ थे आप?
हम यहाँ पर ही थे अपने घर पर, गाड़ी वगैरह लगा कर गए थे यहाँ से, क्योंकि परसों रात बारिश बहुत हुई थी, जिस कारण हम गाड़ियाँ वगैरह काट रोड वगैरह लगा कर घर चल गए थे अपने। इस कारण हम यहाँ ऊपर रहते हैं, रात दिन में आए, गाड़ी वगैरह का काम कराया था हमने, आके यहाँ लगाई गाड़ी, हम चल गए अपने घर को। मतलब हम 2-2:30 बजे घर पहुँच गए, सो गए थे, मतलब खाना वगैरह खा के थक गए थे, क्योंकि परसों भी 11 बजे आए थे हम यहाँ से रात को, क्योंकि लैंडस्लाइडिंग बहुत हो रही थी हर जगह। हम आए, हम खाना वगैरह खाकर सोए, मेरे फादर साहब आए, कहते यार वहाँ पेड़ गिर रहे हैं। तो मैं उठा देखा हमने, यहाँ पेड़ था एक, वो गिरा। उसके बाद एकदम ही लैंडस्लाइडिंग ऐसी हुई कि बस हर जगह धुआं हो गया जी। यहाँ कई रहते थे साथी वगैरह हमारे, जिसमें से 2, एक मैनेजर और एक भाई वगैरह दब गए हैं, जो रात रेस्क्यू कर लिए थे। मेरी हमारे भी ये सुनने में आया कि उनकी वो बेचारा भाई, इस जगह उसकी डेड बॉडी थी पड़ी हुई।
कहाँ पे डेड बॉडी थी
पड़ी हुई?
यहाँ से मिली?
इस जगह उसकी भाई की लात निकली हुई थी।
अच्छा,
तो
मतलब बॉडी के अलग अलग हिस्सों में शरीर मिला है?
मिला तो एक जगह, ये एक लड़के का सिर मिला है,
एक लड़के का सिर्फ सिर मिला है।
और जिस जगह हम जिस टाइम ये हादसा हुआ है ना, हम यहाँ ही थे, यहाँ स्पॉट पर थे हम जिस टाइम गिरा ये, तो हम सब आ गए थे नीचे देखने। यहाँ उसके बेचारे की डेड बॉडी थी, बाहर लात निकली भी, तो किसी की हिम्मत नहीं हुई बा कि आगे जाकर देख ले। तभी हमारी पुलिसकर्मी वगैरह सब आ गए हमारी हेल्प करने, सब ने उन सबको वगैरह को यहाँ से हटाया। ये हमारी गाड़ियाँ वगैरह सब दब गई है।
Well, first of all, I'm coming to you from the Shiv temple area, and in fact, this is the Summer Hill, and in fact, this was the epicenter of this entire tragedy which unfolded here in the summer capital of India, which is Shimla. And in fact, right now you can see in these visuals, first of all, I'll give you the glimpse of the level of destruction which was done yesterday, because this time around you can see how this entire area was actually washed away by the cloud burst which happened just few meters away from this very space. You can see this entire area being washed away. In fact, kilometers, the speed of water was so high that it took away everything it had in its way. And in fact, on the other side here in the visuals, you can see the army personnel here on the ground working continuously to actually clear out this very space. The NDRF teams are here, the SDRF teams are here, and in fact, Jawans of the Indian Army and in fact officers of the Indian Army are continuously working, and in fact they're going pillar to post to actually make sure that this area be cleared in as soon as possible, because as of now what is happening here is that all traffic has been halted, everything has come to a standstill. In fact, till yesterday, the latest figures we have is that 11 bodies have been recovered from this very space, and in fact the officials were fearing that there were more dead bodies because the kind of current water had when the cloud had busted on the upper side of on the upper side of the hill. The speed of water was so high that it took everything it had in its way. You can see down there as well, where this entire under construction home was actually also ravaged because of these flash floods. A lot of shop owners who are working to actually earn their livelihood. In fact, I have a lady over here who runs this very shop. Ma'am, एक बात जानना चाहूँगा, हिमाचल प्रदेश शिमला हो हमेशा से टूरिस्ट के लिए बड़ा एक आकर्षण का केंद्र रहा है, और जितनी मैं ग्राउंड पे अभी तक लोगों से बात कर पाया हूँ, एक चीज़ समझ आई है कि ऐसा शिमला में कभी नहीं देखा गया। क्या लगता है आपको कि आप लोगों का काम कितना इफेक्ट हुआ और उस चीज़ से आप लोगों को क्या असर पड़ा है?
सर असर तो क्या पड़ेगा, आप खुद ही देख रहे हैं ना, जानने जा रही हैं लोगों की, जगह जगह पेड़ गिर रहे हैं। इसमें मतलब हम लोगों की गलती तो नहीं बता सकते, ठीक है, कहीं ना कहीं तो ये नेचुरली हो रहा है ना, तो नेचर का ही फर्क है ना सर। ये पानी आ रहा है, ये सब आना, ये सब नेचुरली है। वो तो शिमला में इस जगह को छोड़ के हर जगह पे है सर, नेचुरल वाटर तो आपको हर जगह ही मिल जाएगा ना।
एक बात रही, आपकी पूरी फैमिली है ये साथ में, आप लोग मतलब आप हस्बैंड वाइफ आप, अच्छा, आप सब मिलके यहाँ पे ये बिजनेस चलाते हैं? अच्छा, तो एक चीज़ समझना चाहूँगा, आप कितने समय से यहाँ पे ये बिजनेस कर रहे हैं?
सर इनको तो देख लो, ये अब बुढ़े बैठे हैं इस टाइम पे, है ना, मतलब आप खुद ही हिसाब लगा सकते हैं कि इनको कितना टाइम हो गया है।
अच्छा, ठीक है, मतलब आपको बहुत समय हो गया। तो मैं बस एक चीज़ समझना चाहूँगा बाबू जी, चक्कर क्या है? हाँ जी,
एक्चुअली इस बार बर्फ़ नहीं पड़ी, उसके बाद बरसात आ गई। जो गर्मियों में मतलब कि बरसात आई ना, उसी का परिणाम ये है। तो ये जो बरसात थी ये तो मतलब कि आनी थी।
Well, due to rains in the upper catchment zones, people staying in relatively low-lying areas are suffering from one another issue, which is the untreated water, and in fact also the fresh water which has not been able to channelize properly by the authorities due to continuous landslides and due to continuous flash floods. In fact, this is also one of these areas near Krishna Nagar only, and you can see how water is coming from the upper areas to these down areas, and in fact the pressure of this water is also very high. And the worrisome thing is that with this water, it's also with this water there are a lot of stones also which is coming down here with the speed of the water. The other thing to worry is that at this very place there are also nearby some shops which are actually very close to this very place. So this is actually something very dangerous which could happen to these sorts of places over here, because the water is coming at a very very brisk pace as of now. But if the rainfall increases and in fact there is more untreated water, there is a possibility that more water could come, and in fact even faster the water could come, which could actually create a lot of headache for the people living in the low-lying areas. The debris of around 5 to 6 homes which actually collapsed on the evening of yesterday. Authorities here in Himachal Pradesh have issued alert. Police, other security personnel are constantly working. Down this hill also a lot of security personnel are working.
Okay, we will continue to bring you ground reports from Himachal Pradesh and Uttarakhand. Right now, we're shifting our focus down to West Bengal, where Jadavpur University is seeing protests. A little bit of context. On August 10th, a student fell. This was from the main hostel. Now, he fell. He was studying Bengali literature. As I told you earlier, he was a 17-year-old. And students since have been alleging ragging was taking place. Police have been investigating the case. My colleague Kamalika is with us right now. Protests have been taking place there. Students have been coming out. Kamalika, you've been on the ground bringing us updates from Jadavpur University. You were saying that the TMC, remember, is in power in West Bengal. They also were conducting protests. Tell us about the mood right now, the situation, and also tell us what are the key demands students are making.
See, right now there is again some, scuffle and some questions that is seen in Jadavpur University. I'll try to show it. As you can see, it's like raining. But what happened is that the Trinamool Chhatra Parishad, they were trying to enter Jadavpur University and they were trying to give a deputation. And here you can see that other students are also here, the other students, the students from the left wing, the SFI, the ISA, the FACT, and all of them are in protest from the morning. So when the other group, that means the TMCP, does not have much base in Jadavpur University, they were doing some protest outside Jadavpur University from morning, as you can see. So this students' meeting is going on inside. So here the TMCP wanted to enter, so there was some scuffle out here right now. The situation is under control. The students, they're having some general body meeting here. From the morning, the students who are the Students' Union of Jadavpur University, they were protesting and they were, with posters and banners that what was Anti-Ragging Committee doing, and with other questions also, they are in protest. But here, the Trinamool Congress Students' Union, they wanted to enter and they wanted to give a deputation. But you can see that there is the students. Right now, the students who are there, they are the students of Jadavpur University, and a section of those students did not allow the outsiders. That's what they are saying, that TMCP is an outsider. They are not from the university. So why will they enter? That's a question which they have raised, and there was a scuffle out here a little while ago. Right now, the situation is under control, as you can see. That students are here, and inside, this is the main Aurobindo Bhavan, which is the administrative building, and all there's this GB meeting, that is general body meeting going on out here. So several questions are raised, several questions are against the authorities. What were the authorities doing when you know, number of ragging cases came to them? While we were talking off the camera with several students of the hostels, they were saying that this is nothing new. The fact that this 17-year-old boy, he fell down and he died, actually took up the matter to this extent. But this is not something which is new. Authorities are to be questioned, because who let the seniors, who are the ex-students, allow to stay in the hostel? That's a big question. What was the anti-ragging committee doing? That was another question. There are no CCTV cameras because the students' resistance is there as far as CCTV cameras are concerned. So all these questions are there. On the other hand, in the other part of Calcutta, in Raj Bhavan, the governor, who is the chancellor of the university, has called a special court meeting. That meeting has started. The dean has not gone, showing to the police that the students have garrowed him, that the registers are being questioned by the police. But the big question is, why this type of commotion in Jadavpur University, which is a 5-star rated university, and what were the authorities doing? So right now you can see that the situation is under control. The outsiders that they are saying out here, TNCP, they came here, they wanted to give a deputation here. You know, the TMC, the mainstream political parties, like the TMC, like the BJP, they does not have much of strength out here. So they are all protesting from outside. Little ago from now, the situation was that the TMCP and the locals out here, the students out here, they were into a scuffle. But right now, the situation is under control.
Okay. Kamalika, thank you for bringing us that ground report. As my colleague Kamalika was saying, a similar incident where a student seemingly committed suicide also took place on the university campus back in 2016. It's time for a short break. On the other side, in just a few minutes, we return with more of the country's top stories. This is The Nation at 5. You're watching CNN News 18.
State, and we will bit by bit tell you exactly what the people of Himachal Pradesh are really looking at. Now these are dramatic visuals from Paral. This is a rescue operation from a building top that has been undertaken, where people who were stranded because of the heavy rainfalls have been gotten up to a safe location. So this is the rescue operation that we are bringing to you from the Paral area in Himachal Pradesh. If we go further and take a look at the kind of rescue operations that both the Army, NDRF and the other central teams are in fact undertaking, this is what is going to give you an idea. Now there is another visual that we have for you. This is a very, very scary visual of the entire house coming down like a pack of rubble. This is from the Krishna Nagar area, and you can see the impact of the landslide that has in fact led to houses being buried under the mud and gore after the landslide really took place in the Krishna Nagar area of Himachal Pradesh. Many people who have been staying in these low-lying areas we also have to understand how the mud really, where the construction really was taking place, is not really firmed up, and because of which the landslide has ended up impacting a lot of these key areas. This is from the Krishna Nagar area that we are looking at. If we take a look at the next set of visuals, these are in fact from the Shiv temple, from where the second landslide in Shimla was reported out of, and this entire temple collapsed due to heavy rain. And further landslide and the rubble that you see, the mud that you see around on top of the temple after the collapse was witnessed. So this is what has happened. Here is where there were a lot of bodies that were recovered, and that is also adding on to the death toll that is being reported out of Himachal Pradesh. So far the official figures stand at above 50. Right now we're still waiting for the official word so that we can ascertain the kind of people who might just be still buried here after this landslide has taken place. This is from the Shiv temple from the Summer Hill area. If we take a look at the cloud burst, flash floods which have destroyed property, this sequence of visuals we are playing out from Mandi. And this is the kind of fury of the river that has been inundated after the cloud burst in Mandi. And you can see people who are in fact in these areas have been badly impacted, and this is how the houses which have been very close to the river bed have also been impacted because of the water fury and the severe inundation that the river really is witnessing. This is from Mandi, ladies and gentlemen. You can see the kind of mayhem that the state of Himachal Pradesh is really witnessing after this fresh bout of rainfall that has been seen here. Now, if we take a look at the rain fury, this continues in the hill state of Himachal Pradesh like we've been bringing to you. CNN News 18 in fact has got you ground reports from the flood hit Shimla, because Shimla has been badly impacted, already 2 landslides, and the death toll only increasing by each passing day. Take a look.
Shimla, one of the most visited tourist spots across the country and perhaps one of the most loved ones as well, is facing an unprecedented crisis in its history, where the state is reeling under heavy floods, flash floods, and in fact heavy rains as well. It's very important to understand the aftermath and the after effects of the floods as well. We talked about how the floods claimed many lives, but it is also very important to understand as to how the people of the state are actually bearing the brunt of this entire situation. Is it just the floods which is causing their lives to be miserable, or is it something else? Well, it's a tourist state where a lot of economics depends and economy depends upon the tourism sector. बाढ़ की वजह से आपके बिजनेस पे क्या इफेक्ट पड़ा इस चीज़ का, मतलब कम ज़्यादा वैसा ही क्या?
बहुत कम, क्योंकि टूरिस्ट नहीं आ रहा है, क्योंकि बाहर के वजह से टूरिस्ट बाहर से भी नहीं आ रहा है, तो हमारे लिए बहुत फ़र्क पड़ रहा है।
बहुत फ़र्क पड़ा है। अच्छा बाबू जी, आप एक बात और बता रहे थे कि जैसे आपकी एक मैं थोड़ा शौक था ये सुन के कि जितनी भी प्राइम्स आप चला रहे हैं सब लाइसेंस्ड भी हैं, मतलब सरकार के अधीन रह के आप सब ये काम कर रहे हैं। तो आपकी अगर अच्छा आपके कार्ड भी बने हुए हैं, अगर अच्छा बिल्कुल पूरा एकदम सब चीज़ें मतलब उस हिसाब से चल रही है, सिस्टम के हिसाब से चल रही हैं। मेरे को एक बात बताइए, नॉर्मल समय पे जब टूरिस्ट होते थे कितना कमा लेते थे और अब कितना कमा पा रहे हैं?
नॉर्मल तो सर ऐसा है, नॉर्मल समय पे कमा लेते 3,000 कमा लेते महीने का।
3,000
नॉर्मल पे अभी तो सर रोटी के भी लाले पड़े हुए,
रोटी के भी लाले पड़े हुए,
गुजारा भी नहीं हो रहा। ऐसा कुछ नहीं है, आज तक हमने ऐसा समय देखा नहीं, कभी नहीं। हमारी इतनी उम्र हो गई, आज तक हमें शिमला में ऐसा समय दिखा।
कितने समय से शिमला में आप?
हम हमारे को हो गए सर 20 साल, और इस लाइसेंस बढ़ के हो गया हमारे को 10 साल।
Landslide which was reported from Shimla's Krishna Nagar area has claimed 2 lives. This information has been given to us by the officers on ground who are working continuously to carry out rescue operations. And I'm coming to you in fact from that very site where those houses collapsed yesterday around 4 to 5 p.m. in the evening. All you can see around this very space is just destruction, debris, and in fact the broken homes which actually collapsed during that very landslide. This is the debris of around 5 to 6 homes which actually collapsed on the evening of yesterday, when in fact those places were actually emptied by the authorities, because earlier only they were fearing that there could be something like this, and that is the reason why this entire area was emptied by the authorities. Looking at the debris over here, looking at the kind of destruction which has been done due to this landslide is very humongous. You can see these entire homes of concrete. These are not, mind you, these are not wooden homes, or these are not makeshift shelters or homes. These are proper concrete homes which were washed away by, which was actually which were collapsed because of the landslide. You can see how the debris.
Welcome back. You're watching The Nation at 5 right here on CNN News 18. We are continuing to check in with stories across the country. Right now, though, we're bringing you an update from Pakistan, where earlier in the day today, an incident took place in Faisalabad, which, remember, is the third largest city in Pakistan. It's in the northeast part of the country. Two churches were attacked by a group of about 100 plus people carrying sticks. These people committed the attack. They set one church on fire while they attacked the second church. They said that they were doing this because a local resident in the area had committed blasphemy. We'll get more details on the original incident, but what we're focusing on right now is the response of Foreign Minister Bilawal Bhutto Zardari. He said that I am horrified to hear about the attacks on churches in Jaranwala and Faisalabad. Jaranwala is in Faisalabad, it's where the attacks took place. He said violating the sanctity of places of worship is absolutely unacceptable. The administration must ensure the safety of the Christian community and their churches. Remember, this incident comes amid the larger context, which is a spate of attacks on minorities in Pakistan. My colleague Abhishek with us to bring us more context on this story and then situate it for us in the larger context. Abhishek, first, if you could tell us more about what took place this morning, how security forces, administration on the ground responded, then we'll ask you for more context.
One of the radical Islamist group in Pakistan called for an agitation after they apparently felt that one of the cleaner working in one of the churches had done something blasphemous, and accusations were raised, and now a mob which was almost about 8 to 10,000 people strong, they started ransacking churches and homes of Christians in that settlement that is General Wala around. And soon, for hours, there was no police force or no security person inside because apparently the mob was huge. And it is being reported that about 500 Christian family who lived around three settlements around General Wala, around Faisalabad, they have fled from their home, fearing their life. Uh, there are security concerns now. Now the police forces have also raised in large numbers. About 5,000 police personnel are apparently being deployed to contain the mob and protect the Christian lives and the families living nearby. But this is not the first case of blasphemy in Pakistan, which has raised concerns across the world as to how Christians, or for that matter any other religious people from any other religions, are treated, and they are persecuted in the name of blasphemy. Just in the month of May, also we have seen two teenage Christian boys being arrested by Lahore police in the name of blasphemy. So, blasphemy, while it has been enshrined in the law and constitution of Pakistan, but it has been used as a tool to coerce and threaten minority population across Pakistan in the recent years.
Okay. All right. Abhishek, if I could actually ask you to stay with us. We're going to take our audiences now from Pakistan back to India. Our next story is an update of developments taking place right here in the national capital in just a few days from now. Less than a month to go before the G20 Leaders Summit in the beginning of September right here in Delhi, and we have with you some of the details about the security convoy and how that movement is going to be taking place. The outer security is going to be provided by Delhi Cops. Remember, the events will be taking place at Bharat Mandapam, which was inaugurated. It was initially Pragati Maidan. Now, all of this security is about the movements of envoys from their hotels to Bharat Mandapam. I'm going to bring you some of the details right now. As we told you already, outer security is going to be provided by the Delhi Cops. We're also going to bring you some of the cavalcade details in just a second. But the top Delhi Cops, as you can see, are going to be supervising that. Now, these are the paths of the cavalcade. You're going to have, and I just want to point this out to you, you're going to obviously have the VVIP car. That car is going to have Escort 1 and Escort 2. But right in the front, you're going to have a pilot, a protocol car. This is almost the way in which it's going to be arranged. As you can see over here, the Escorts 3 behind the VVIP car, the VVIP spare car 1, car 2, van 1, van 2, mission vehicles, ambulance, and then obviously the tail car right at the back. This is what each envoy set is going to be provided. These are the initial details that we've got coming in. This is from a source in the Ministry of External Affairs. Now, we're going to bring you more details in just a second, but let me just bring you first more details about the convoy itself. Remember, as we told you already, the outer security layer will be provided by Delhi police officials over here. The Delhi police is going to be ensuring the security in the movement between, as we told you already, the hotels where each of these envoys will be positioned and the venue, which is, as we just told you, Bharat Mandapam. Now, senior DCP level officials are going to be supervising all of the dignitaries' movements and stays as they take place. They're going to be attempting to ensure top-level security. Security drills will be encompassing continuous VVIP oversight, as you can see over here. Now, there are obviously dedicated timings that are allotted for all of the VVIP movement to prevent any kind of overlapping. For Delhiites, September 9th to September 10th, all road movement is possibly going to be slower as this takes place. Weekly rehearsals are going to be taking place till that date for the movements to start this weekend. All of those rehearsals will start this weekend. They'll continue on a weekly basis. Let's go to my colleague Abhishek to understand more about this story. Abhishek, thank you for staying with us. Abhishek, tell our audiences, particularly residents who are tuning in right now from the Delhi NCR region. Obviously, this is important when you're a Delhi NCR region to know that this is going on in the area around you. But tell us, why is understanding this movement and the layers of security preparation that are going in, why is this so important?
About 40 leaders will be participant in the G20 summit level talks. You can name any major power in the world, and the leader, any political leader, and he will be here in Delhi during those 2 days of G20 summit level talks. There is a need to have a foolproof security, and the practices and or the rehearsal for that foolproof security has been started, and from airport to hotel, and from hotel to the venue, that is Bharat Mandapam, the older Pragati Maidan, which has been now was reconstructed to host the G20 summit levels. So those exercises will be continued as to see whether there is any lacuna or any thing that the security leaders needs to be done. About 14 cars will be part of every cavalcade for every leaders, starting from the escort vehicle or the security and the ambulances and the leaders vehicle. About 14 cars will be there, and then additional traffic vehicles could also be part of those cavalcades. Also, aerial security is going to be of concern, especially in the wake of recent drone innovations and everybody having access to this technology, and drone being very important part of surveillance also. So while security forces will be using drones to keep an eye on any mischievous activities in and around the G20 center, but at the same time there will be restriction for if anybody could fly these drones during those times. You talk about the traffic security and the traffic for the people in and around Delhi NCR. Recently, whenever we have been in any countries during this such summit level talks of G20 or G7, or for that matter SCO also, we are seeing normally government closing or shutting down all the offices and schools for almost 2 days, during which the leaders will be there because of the traffic restriction and the kind of inconvenience it may cause to the people and the security concerns it can raise for the authorities. So it will be best of interest for the authorities as well, and the security management both, if majority of works can be put on hold for 2 days when the leaders will be here in Delhi and participating in the G20 summit.
All right, Abhishek, thank you for bringing us those details. All of those changes, all of that movement taking place right here in the Delhi NCR region. It's time right now for a very short break. You're watching The Nation at 5. We'll be right here. Join us again in just a few minutes to come to know more about the country's top stories at this hour.
Homes has gone from that very top side to this very end, and you can see how cars have also been destroyed in this very case. You can see only here a car has fallen down off this very cliff, and in fact this is the story from Krishna Nagar right now. In fact, a lot of lives being affected, and in fact the NDRF officials have confirmed to CNN News 18 that 2 lives have been lost in this case.
Let's now first take a look at what is the situation really like in the northern state of Himachal Pradesh. It's a havoc in the hill state, and we will bit by bit tell you exactly what the people of Himachal Pradesh are really looking at. Now, these are dramatic visuals from Paral. This is a rescue operation from a building top that has been undertaken, where people who were stranded because of the heavy rainfalls have been gotten up to a safe location. So this is the rescue operation that we are bringing to you from the Paral area in Himachal Pradesh. If we go further and take a look at the kind of rescue rescue operations that both the Army, NDRF and the other central teams are in fact undertaking. This is what is going to give you an idea. Now there is another visual that we have for you. This is a very, very scary visual of the entire house coming down like a pack of rubble. This is from the Krishna Nagar area, and you can see the impact of the landslide that has in fact led to houses being buried under the mud and gore after the landslide really took place in the Krishna Nagar area of Himachal Pradesh. Many people who have been staying in these low-lying areas we also have to understand how the mud really, where the construction really was taking place, is not really firmed up, and because of which the landslide has ended up impacting a lot of these key areas. This is from the Krishna Nagar area that we are looking at. If we take a look at the next set of visuals, these are in fact from the Shiv temple, from where the second landslide in Shimla was reported out of, and this entire temple collapsed due to heavy rain. And further landslide and the rubble that you see, the mud that you see around on top of the temple after the collapse was witnessed. So this is what has happened. Here is where there were a lot of bodies that were recovered, and that is also adding on to the death toll that is being reported out of Himachal Pradesh. So far the official figures stand at above 50. Right now we're still waiting for the official word so that we can ascertain the kind of people who might just be still buried here after this landslide has taken place. This is from the Shiv temple from the Summer Hill area. If we take a look at the cloudburst, flash floods which have destroyed property, this sequence of visuals we are playing out from Mandi, and this is the kind of fury of the river that has been inundated after the cloudburst in Mandi, and you can see people who are in fact in these areas have been badly impacted, and this is how the houses which have been very, very close to the riverbed have also been impacted because of the water fury and the severe inundation that the river really is witnessing. This is from Mandi, ladies and gentlemen. You can see the kind of mayhem that the state of Himachal Pradesh is really witnessing after this fresh bout of rainfall that has been seen here. Now, if we take a look at the rain fury, this continues in the hill state of Himachal Pradesh like we've been bringing to you. CNN News 18 in fact has got you ground reports from the flood hit Shimla, because Shimla has been badly impacted, already 2 landslides, and the death toll only increasing by each passing day. Take a look.
Shimla, one of the most visited tourist spots across the country and perhaps one of the most loved ones as well, is facing an unprecedented crisis in its history, where the state is reeling under heavy floods, flash floods, and in fact heavy rains as well. It's very important to understand the aftermath and the after effects of the floods as well. We talked about how the floods claimed many lives, but it is also very important to understand as to how the people of the state are actually bearing the brunt of this entire situation. Is it just the floods which is causing their lives to be miserable, or is it something else? Well, it's a tourist state where a lot of economics depends and economy depends upon the tourism sector. बाढ़ की वजह से आपके बिजनेस पे क्या इफेक्ट पड़ा इस चीज़ का, मतलब कम ज़्यादा वैसा ही क्या?
बहुत कम, क्योंकि टूरिस्ट नहीं आ रहा है, क्योंकि बाहर के वजह से टूरिस्ट बाहर से भी नहीं आ रहा है, तो हमारे लिए बहुत फ़र्क पड़ रहा है।
बहुत फ़र्क पड़ा है। अच्छा बाबू जी, आप एक बात और बता रहे थे कि जैसे आपकी एक मैं थोड़ा शौक था ये सुन के कि जितनी भी प्राइम्स आप चला रहे हैं सब लाइसेंस्ड भी हैं, मतलब सरकार के अधीन रह के आप सब ये काम कर रहे हैं। तो आपकी अगर अच्छा आपके कार्ड भी बने हुए हैं, अगर अच्छा बिल्कुल पूरा एकदम सब चीज़ें मतलब उस हिसाब से चल रही है, सिस्टम के हिसाब से चल रही हैं। मेरे को एक बात बताइए, नॉर्मल समय पे जब टूरिस्ट होते थे कितना कमा लेते थे और अब कितना कमा पा रहे हैं?
नॉर्मल तो सर ऐसा है, नॉर्मल समय पे कमा लेते 3000 कमा लेते महीने का।
3000
नॉर्मल पे अभी तो सर रोटी के भी लाले पड़े हुए,
रोटी के भी लाले पड़े हुए,
गुजारा भी नहीं हो रहा। ऐसा कुछ नहीं है, आज तक हमने ऐसा समय देखा नहीं, कभी नहीं। हमारी इतनी उम्र हो गई, आज तक हमें शिमला में ऐसा समय दिखा
कितने
नहीं।
समय से हैं शिमला में आप?
हम हमारे को हो गए सर 20 साल और इस लाइसेंस बढ़ के हो गया हमारे को 10 साल।
Landslide which was reported from Shimla's Krishna Nagar area has claimed 2 lives. This information has been given to us by the officers on ground who are working continuously to carry out rescue operations. And I'm coming to you in fact from that very site where those houses collapsed yesterday around 4 to 5 p.m. in the evening. All you can see around this very space is just destruction, debris, and in fact the broken homes which actually collapsed during that very landslide. This is the debris of around 5 to 6 homes which actually collapsed on the evening of on the.
Welcome back. You're watching The Nation at 5 right here on CNN News 18. We're now taking you to a story that's playing out in the northeast, in particular in Assam. All right, this is a response that's coming from Congress leader Gaurav Gogoi. This response is about delimitation in Assam, specifically what the Election Commission had to do with it. We'll bring you context on his response, then we'll give you a little bit of a backstory. Firstly, what Gaurav Gogoi had to say. He said the speed with which the Election Commission has rushed through the delimitation in Assam, despite serious questions raised by the Supreme Court in the ongoing case, is another example of BJP's brute authoritarianism. The BJP also wants to exclude the CJI from selecting ECs in the new bill. Remember, the process of delimitation is one in which boundaries are redrawn in an area according to the changes in the population. Now, the EC, the Election Commission, submitted its report on August 11. This was their final report on the ways in which they believed the boundaries needed to be made. My colleague Preeti is with us right now. Preeti, we know that on one side you have BJP leaders who say that these changes that the Election Commission has organized for are changes that will allow for better representation of, for example, indigenous communities. At the same time, you have minorities arguing that these changes in Assam stand against them. Can you bring us context, please, Preeti, of both sides, and then tell us more about what Gaurav Gogoi had to say?
Yes, regarding delimitation, we have seen that since the first declaration came about the delimitation draft that was to be framed, the EC also talked to various parties and organizations in Assam about framing the draft and took suggestions. We have seen that there are various reactions they have come in from various parties like AIUDF and again Congress, where they have stated that the delimitation is a political move by BJP. We have seen that Congress has particularly stated that it is a tool of BJP, the delimitation draft, the process of delimitation, which needed to be done in a thorough process, has been rapidly been carried out so that they can use it for the next elections in 2024. Again, we have seen that AIUDF particularly has also stated that this is a very much a political move by BJP government where they are trying to reduce the constituencies of the minorities and they are trying to create a different kind of an atmosphere in Assam by which they can take over the voters in the region. They're also defining them on the basis of religion and minorities and majorities in the state. So we have seen a lot of political reactions coming in today. We have seen that Gaurav Gogoi has also stated that when there is a case going on in the Supreme Court, they are listening and they are taking inquiries from the various parties. Why is the EC like rapidly moving towards bringing in the delimitation when there are a lot of questions still to be answered? So we have seen that Himanta Biswa Sharma has also stated regarding it's a success of democracy. It's a very helpful move for the state of Assam. So a lot of political reactions definitely coming in.
Preeti, thank you for highlighting that for us. Okay, we're now going to take you, our audiences, from the northeast over to Maharashtra that has also seen much drama play out through the day today. A few hours ago, Sharad Pawar, NCP Supremo, finally came forward and said, look, he is not going to be making any moves. But you might remember a few weeks ago, his nephew, now Deputy Chief Minister of Maharashtra, Ajit Pawar, joined hands with the BJP. Ever since that move happened, there was much nervousness within the Maharashtra Vikas Aghadi about whether the NCP Supremo, Sharad Pawar, would be making a similar such change. Now today, to some degree, those speculations have been laid to rest. Sharad Pawar, if his words are to be taken on face value, he has said that he will not be making any such change. He's also said that the BJP is trying to create divides within the Maharashtra Vikas Aghadi. We'll go over to my colleague Vinay in a second to understand what the Maharashtra Vikas Aghadi's other alliance partners, that is obviously the Congress and the Shiv Sena led by Uddhav Thackeray, what they have to say to all these developments. First, take a look at all of the reactions that have come in today.
आज तुम्ही काय राहुल त्यांचं स्टेटमेंट कदाचित वाचलं असेल तर या सगळ्या गोष्टी असंच त्यावर आधारित आहेत असं त्यांनी त्या ठिकाणचं निवेदन दिलं.
Okay, my colleague Bureau Chief Vinay Deshpande is with us right now to bring us a lot more in terms of context. Vinay, I remember just a few days ago you were telling us that both the Congress and the Shiv Sena Uddhav Thackeray faction already had a plan B in place because they were so sure that some kind of change was going to happen. Are they taking Sharad Pawar's statement from a few hours ago, are they taking it on face value?
Well, as of now, it seems like they are, because today morning, even as Sanjay Raut spoke, Toya, we are seeing that there has been a change of stance in whatever stance that he had taken just 2 days ago when he had slammed Sharad Pawar, to a day today where he in fact defended Sharad Pawar, saying Ajit Pawar is nobody to make an offer to Sharad Pawar. Even the Congress seems to have mellowed down that stance a bit, though let me also tell you that there is definitely a thought from within both the alliance partners that they need to be in preparation of any eventuality in case there is any development which takes place with respect to the NCP. Now, NCP sources tell us, Toya, that this is exactly what the BJP wants, that they want a division within the MVA, within India, and the fact that there would be a confusion around the position that Sharad Pawar has taken. But the fact that Sharad Pawar time and again has met his nephew Ajit Pawar has led to a further confusion, not just among his own cadres, which we've spoken to several NCP cadres till now, and they believe genuinely that Ajit Pawar and Sharad Pawar are probably on the same side and they are not two different persons. Given the fact that Ajit Pawar has been making such open public statements for quite some time now that both Sharad Pawar and Ajit Pawar are not two different entities, but both of them are on the same side, the fact is quite clear that these kind of gestures and these kind of meetings are definitely slated to have an impact on the perception battle that is being fought right now. Sharad Pawar has yet again come out in the open, has claimed that he has had no such offers in that meeting from Ajit Pawar, has also claimed that there's no question of supporting the BJP and he will continue to fight against the BJP and he will continue to remain a part of the India team. And the fact that all the parties together were in fact trying to put up a big show in Mumbai, which hosts the next India meeting on the 31st of August and 1st of September. The 1st of September is when a rally is expected to take place and 31st is when the big meeting takes place. So amid all this...
All right, that was my colleague Vinay bringing us an update on the situation in Maharashtra. With that, we are coming to an end. We've brought you stories from the north, the east, and right here from Maharashtra, the west. This was The Nation at 5. Thank you for staying with us over the last 1 hour. Next, my colleague Anusha will be joining you at 6.
Good evening, hello and welcome. You're watching Viewpoint. I'm Anusha Soni. The debate over the NEET examination, once again in the state of Tamil Nadu, is dominating headlines. Unfortunately, not for the right